How to talk in English. Mia often pondered, how to talk in English. The question lingered, a nagging challenge despite years of diligent study. She understood grammar perfectly, could write essays with ease, but speaking felt like a foreign concept. Her tongue would tie itself in knots, and words would vanish from her mind the moment she tried to articulate them, causing deep frustration. This inability often led her to wonder, why do I always make mistakes? The fear of imperfection became a heavy cloak, smothering her confidence and preventing her from even attempting conversations. She'd rehearse sentences internally, only to falter and retreat into silence when faced with a real-life situation, feeling utterly defeated. Her breakthrough began with understanding why reading is important. Mia started devouring English novels, not just for plots, but to observe sentence structures and natural phrasing. She discovered new vocabulary and context, which helped her intuitively grasp nuances. This quiet, personal immersion built a foundational understanding of the language's true essence. She then adopted the crucial advice, listen and practice. Mia transformed her daily commute into a listening session, absorbing podcasts and audiobooks. She mimicked pronunciations, repeating phrases under her breath. This active listening trained her ears to the rhythm and intonation of native speakers, a crucial step she had previously overlooked completely. Mia learned that how people speak English often varies, but a common thread is confidence, which comes from consistent exposure. She noticed that even native speakers sometimes hesitate, making minor errors. This realization humanized the learning process, making it less intimidating and shifting her focus from perfection to effective communication itself. The next vital stage was to start step-by-step talking. Mia began small, practicing simple greetings in her mind, then whispering them aloud when alone. This gradual approach reduced pressure and allowed her to build muscle memory for speaking, slowly overcoming the initial paralyzing fear of spontaneous articulation, a common barrier. Her first brave step was to start talking at home. She conversed with her reflection in the mirror, describing her day, narrating mundane activities. She even spoke to her plants and pets, using full English sentences. This private practice space allowed her to experiment with words without fear of judgment, building essential fluency. This home practice cultivated a surprising degree of comfort. Mia realized that, let me tell you talking tips, could truly transform her journey. One tip she embraced was recording herself, then listening back. This uncomfortable but enlightening exercise highlighted areas for improvement in pronunciation and intonation, providing clear, actionable feedback effectively. Another powerful tip she discovered involved thinking in English. Instead of translating from her native language, Mia actively tried to form thoughts directly in English. This cognitive shift, though challenging initially, accelerated her ability to respond spontaneously and fluidly, bypassing the cumbersome translation step, making conversations much smoother. How to talk with anyone became her next challenge. Mia started with sympathetic family members who were also learning. They created a safe space where mistakes were not just tolerated but celebrated as learning opportunities. This supportive environment nurtured her confidence, encouraging her to speak more freely and frequently. She joined online language exchange groups, initially just listening. Observing how people speak English in various contexts provided invaluable real-world examples. She learned about different accents, slang, and common conversational fillers, broadening her understanding beyond textbook examples and making the language feel more alive and authentic. Mia then made the leap to actively participate, beginning with short, simple introductions. The fear was still present, but less overwhelming. She remembered her friend's advice: listen and practice, and focused on understanding the other person before formulating her reply, making her responses more natural and less forced effectively. She embraced the mantra, "Why I always make mistakes is actually a good sign of learning." Each error became a valuable lesson, a sign of effort and progress, rather than a cause for despair. This mental shift was pivotal, transforming obstacles into stepping stones on her path to English fluency, fostering resilience. Her understanding of why reading is important deepened. She wasn't just reading for vocabulary, she was internalizing sentence patterns and idiomatic expressions that made her spoken English sound more natural. Reading extensively provided a rich linguistic database for her brain to draw upon during spontaneous conversations effortlessly. Listen and practice continued to be her cornerstone. She used shadowing techniques, repeating what she heard almost simultaneously. This active imitation improved her intonation and rhythm, making her speech sound less robotic and more akin to a native speaker's flow. It was tiring but incredibly effective for precise articulation. Mia also integrated learning into her daily routine, truly starting step-by-step talking. She labeled objects around her house in English, narrating her chores, or even ordering food in her mind at restaurants in English. This constant, low-pressure exposure ingrained the language into her subconscious, making it feel more natural. Let me tell you talking tips that Mia found particularly useful: finding a conversation partner with similar goals. Mutual encouragement and shared struggles created a bond, making the learning process less isolating and more enjoyable. They held each other accountable, fostering consistent practice and tangible progress together. She realized how people speak English involves not just words but also body language and cultural nuances. Mia observed how gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact played a role in conveying meaning. This holistic understanding enriched her communication, making her interactions more effective and less prone to misunderstandings overall. The fear of making mistakes gradually diminished. Mia understood that everyone, even native speakers, makes slips. The key was to keep going, to not let a minor stumble derail the entire conversation. She developed a thick skin, laughing at her own errors and moving on, fostering genuine conversational flow. How to talk in English became less about perfection and more about connection. Her focus shifted from flawless grammar to conveying her thoughts and feelings effectively. This liberation allowed her to express herself more authentically, making her conversations more engaging and less stilted, fostering real human connection. She made it a point to start talking at home with purpose. Instead of just narrating, she started practicing specific scenarios, ordering coffee, asking for directions, or even preparing for a job interview. This targeted practice built confidence for real-world interactions, making her feel ready for various situations. How to talk with anyone became an exciting challenge rather than a daunting one. Mia started initiating small conversations with strangers in English-speaking environments, like coffee shops or bookstores. She'd ask a simple question, then actively listen to the reply, practicing her comprehension and response in real time. Her journey underscored why reading is important as a continuous process. She continued reading widely, exploring different genres and authors. Each new book introduced her to fresh vocabulary and diverse writing styles, continuously enriching her linguistic repertoire and making her spoken English more sophisticated and varied daily. The power of listen and practice was undeniable. Mia found that listening to various accents broadened her understanding of global English. She could now comprehend speakers from different countries with greater ease, a skill that significantly enhanced her ability to communicate in diverse international settings efficiently. Reflecting on why I always make mistakes, Mia realized it was part of her personal growth curve. Mistakes indicated she was pushing her boundaries, attempting new structures, and expanding her comfort zone. They were not failures but invaluable data points for improvement, guiding her towards greater linguistic precision. She often shared, "Let me tell you," talking tips that worked for her, emphasizing the importance of consistent, albeit small, efforts. Daily short bursts of practice were more effective than infrequent, long sessions. This consistency built momentum and solidified her learning, making fluency an achievable, step-by-step goal. Mia learned how people speak English isn't a monolithic skill. It's a dynamic, evolving process. People adapt their speech based on context, audience, and intent. Observing these variations helped her tailor her own communication style, making her more versatile and effective in different social and professional settings. Her advice for beginners was always to start step-by-step talking, emphasizing patience and self-compassion. The journey isn't a sprint but a marathon, filled with small victories and inevitable setbacks. Celebrating the small wins kept her motivated and persistent through the inevitable challenges that arose. How to talk in English eventually transformed from a question of ability to one of opportunity. Mia actively sought out chances to speak, joining clubs, attending workshops, and engaging in online forums. Her proactive approach accelerated her progress exponentially, turning learning into an exciting adventure. The importance of "start talking at home" remained paramount, even as she became more confident outside. It was her sanctuary for experimentation, a place to try out new phrases or role-play difficult conversations before facing them in the real world. This private practice refined her delivery consistently. How to talk with anyone ultimately meant letting go of the fear of judgment. Mia realized most people are supportive and appreciate the effort. Her willingness to try, even with imperfections, opened doors to genuine connections and enriching conversations, making the learning journey more rewarding and enjoyable. She vividly remembered her initial frustration regarding how to talk in English. It felt like an insurmountable mountain. But by breaking it down into manageable steps, focusing on listening, reading, and gradual practice, the mountain slowly transformed into a series of achievable hills she could conquer one by one. Why reading is important extended to reading diverse materials, from news articles to blog posts, exposing her to practical, everyday language. This breadth of reading provided context for informal conversations and helped her understand current events, making her a more informed and engaged conversationalist in English. Listen and practice became an instinctive loop. She'd listen to a new phrase, try to use it in her internal monologue, and then look for an opportunity to use it in a real conversation. This constant feedback loop accelerated her acquisition of new vocabulary and idiomatic expressions naturally. Her past worries of, "why I always make mistakes," now seemed distant. She understood that fluency isn't about eliminating mistakes, but about communicating effectively despite them. Errors became minor detours, not roadblocks, on her path to expressing herself clearly and confidently, fostering continuous improvement. Mia frequently advised, "Let me tell you talking tips," that emphasize finding joy in the process. Learning English shouldn't feel like a chore. She encouraged others to find topics they genuinely enjoyed discussing, whether it was hobbies, travel, or current affairs, making conversations less daunting and more engaging. Observing how people speak English also taught her about cultural cues. Different cultures have different conversational styles, directness versus indirectness, formality versus informality. Understanding these subtle differences helped her navigate social interactions more skillfully, avoiding misunderstandings and building better rapport with others. "Start step-by-step talking" was her mantra for anyone feeling overwhelmed. Begin with simple exchanges, like ordering coffee or asking for directions. Each successful interaction builds a foundation of confidence, empowering learners to tackle more complex conversations gradually, expanding their comfort zone over time. Her transformation in How to Talk in English was remarkable. From hesitant whispers, her voice now carried confidence and clarity. She could articulate complex ideas, share personal stories, and engage in debates, a testament to her consistent effort and strategic learning approach over many months. The value of "start talking at home" evolved too. It became a space for creative practice, where she could experiment with different tones, practice public speaking segments, or even sing along to English songs, further ingraining the language's rhythm and pronunciation into her very being effortlessly. How to talk with anyone now felt effortless. Mia discovered that genuine curiosity about others helped immensely. Asking open-ended questions and actively listening to the answers created natural conversational flow, shifting the focus from her own speaking anxiety to connecting with the other person genuinely. She became a fervent advocate for why reading is important, recommending a variety of materials beyond textbooks. News articles, social media posts, and online forums provided authentic language exposure, reflecting how English is truly used in everyday life, making her understanding more practical and current. The synergy of listen and practice proved incredibly potent. Listening provided the blueprint, and practice cemented the execution. This continuous cycle of input and output transformed her passive knowledge into active, usable language, making her responses quicker and more automatic in real-time conversations. Confronting "why I always make mistakes" head-on was a game-changer. Instead of internalizing errors as personal failures, she saw them as opportunities for precise correction. This analytical approach, combined with a forgiving mindset, accelerated her improvement and prevented discouragement effectively. For those struggling, Mia would often say, "Let me tell you talking tips that foster self-belief." Believing in one's capacity to learn, even when progress felt slow, was crucial. Persistence, coupled with a positive attitude, unlocked her full potential and made the entire learning journey much more enjoyable. Understanding how people speak English across different contexts, like formal versus informal, academic versus casual, enriched her communication style. She learned to code switch, adapting her language to suit the situation, a skill that made her interactions more appropriate and effective in diverse settings. Mia often reflected on her journey, remembering the initial struggles and how, step-by-step talking, transformed everything. It was never about a sudden leap, but a consistent series of small, deliberate steps that eventually led to significant progress and profound confidence in her abilities. Her current fluency epitomized the answer to how to talk in English. It wasn't about innate talent, but about dedicated effort, smart strategies, and an unwavering commitment to learning. She proved that anyone, with the right approach and perseverance, could achieve conversational mastery and beyond. The importance of start talking at home resonated deeply with her. It was her personal laboratory, where she could experiment freely, make mistakes without consequence, and build the foundational confidence needed before venturing out into the wider world of English conversation bravely. How to talk with anyone ultimately became about embracing imperfection. Mia understood that authentic communication wasn't about flawless grammar but about genuine connection. Her willingness to be vulnerable, to try, even if she stumbled, opened doors to meaningful relationships and invaluable learning experiences with ease. She now confidently shares her story, inspiring others who face similar linguistic hurdles. Her journey is a testament to the fact that speaking English is a skill developed through consistent effort, active engagement, and a positive mindset, proving that anyone can conquer the language with determination. Her journey vividly illustrates why reading is important for comprehensive language development. It wasn't just vocabulary but understanding cultural contexts, idiomatic expressions, and diverse perspectives, all of which enriched her conversations and deepened her appreciation for the language's vastness. The continuous cycle of listen and practice remains fundamental to her ongoing improvement. Even now, fluent, she seeks out new accents and complex discussions, understanding that language learning is a lifelong endeavor, a journey of constant discovery and refinement, keeping her skills sharp. Mia no longer asks, "Why I always make mistakes?" She understands that growth comes from pushing boundaries, and errors are simply feedback. They guide her to areas needing refinement, allowing her to continuously fine-tune her pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary, achieving even greater precision daily. Her ultimate message for anyone yearning to speak English is simple: start step-by-step talking. Don't wait for perfection. Begin where you are, with what you know, and build from there. Each small step, each whispered word, contributes to a grander journey towards eloquent, confident communication, transforming lives.